This is LA's first.
Live from Los Angeles, welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. We're all about manifestation, transformation, and breakthroughs. It's time to claim your birthright of prosperity, vitality, and love. So grab your tea or coffee because together we're awakening the world. May you live your truth. Have you ever wondered what it would take to actually be somebody that is unshakable, unrecognizable, unapologetic, someone who's a spiritual badass, somebody who absolutely is totally in their power, their grace, and living on purpose? Well, today's podcast, I want to break on down what is a spiritual practitioner? What is a badass? What is a spiritual badass? So this is the Dr. Erin podcast, and we come together each day to know the truth, live on spiritual principle, and align with universal law. We also come together in Society and New Thought Global as a community because we recognize how important community is. We recognize that when people awaken, they have a gift and message to bring to the world, and together we're awakening the world. So I am so incredibly honored. Tomorrow is actually the first day of New Thought Global Spiritual Practitioner Program's launch. This has been a dream of mine for years and years and years, and it is my greatest honor because as a doctor of divinity and as a New Thought minister, law of attraction minister, the prerequisite for those things is becoming a spiritual practitioner. And in my industry, we consider that becoming a spiritual practitioner is the greatest honor because it is the place where the rubber meets the road, meaning that it is the place where you live and speak and only think in truth. And without that, we have nothing. We have the greatest lives ever because we become spiritual practitioners. So I first want to just break on down what is a spiritual practitioner. And from Ernest Holmes says, a spiritual practitioner is one who seeks to demonstrate for themselves and in the lives of others the supremacy of spiritual thought force over apparent objective or material resistance. The practitioner has become convinced the universe is a spiritual system, that we ourselves are spiritual, and that all people are spiritual, and that there is a law of spiritual consciousness that has exactly the power to give objective form to thought. The spiritual practitioner is one who consciously practices the presence of God in themselves and others. We definitely use the law of cause and effect for a specific purpose. Okay, so what does that mean exactly? It means that the spiritual practitioner understands their oneness. They understand the dynamic of this universe. And all they are here to do is to know the truth and demonstrate for themselves and others truth and only see through the perception and the lens of truth. I love this so much. So for me personally, years back, I began to dive into spirituality. You guys know my story of having a stillborn at 22 and beginning the journey of spirituality. And I began to consider myself, quote, quote, spiritual because I started talking about the universe and manifesting and stuff like that. But what I would do is I would then step into making people wrong. I would then complain. I would get reactive still. It was like I had two lives. One when I go into meditation or be reading a spiritual book or whatever I consider spiritual. And I'd get all blissed out. I'd get all ethereal. And I'd have these moments of these divine moments of being one with the universe. And then I'd slam back into my human beingness. And I'd be, in a little argument with somebody, or I'd get upset, or I'd be gossiping about somebody or whatever it is. And so for me, when I stepped into becoming a spiritual practitioner, I realized and recognized that if I wanted to be somebody that was actually powerful, I wanted to be somebody that was living in truth, and I wanted to really experience having a life that I loved, that I needed to live on spiritual principle and know the truth at all points in time, not just for that 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. That my whole life had to be my daily spiritual practice, and that every thought that I energized, every word that I spoke, every thought that I placed more value on had to be from the perspective of truth, and recognizing the power of my mind to demonstrate with every last drop of every breath of my life. Michael Bernard Beckwith states that the practitioner is not merely a body of knowledge. but rather a state of consciousness that realizes oneness with the universe. Dedicated to first demonstrating new thought, ancient wisdom principles within their own life, a practitioner then serves as a spiritual therapeutic agent of the spirit for the upliftment of every man, woman, and child who requests healing of body, mind, and spirit. What an incredible human being, Michael Bernard Beckwith, right? So what is a practitioner? A practitioner is somebody who is in a state of consciousness of truth. So what do you do in spiritual practitioner program is all we do is build the muscle of truth. That's all we're doing. We are steeping ourselves in teachings, writing, reading, conversation, breaking down all problems of the universe from a perspective of truth so that when we become the heavyweight champions of our life, we are masters of truth. We are heavyweight champions of truth. That's what a spiritual practitioner is. That's what I consider a spiritual badass. A spiritual badass for me is somebody who lives truth, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter if somebody cheats on them in their relationship, no matter if they lose all their money to their name, if the entire economy crumbles, they know truth. That's all they know, and they will only live in truth. So what does this mean exactly? And this brings me to a conversation we had in one of the training calls the other week. And what happens is there's a lot of people that come into to Society and New Thought Global, and they are, they've been doing spiritual work for quite some time, and they may feel like they're very intuitive or psychic or anything. And we want to break down some of the science of mind principles. So one of the gals says, because we're debating intuition versus psychic ability, and we do not believe in telling somebody of their future because we feel like it's called implanting, and we want people to have freedom of choice and free will, and we don't want to impress upon their mind what we feel is projecting into their future. The point is to clear out their consciousness and to clear out their belief system to actually be able to have them demonstrate and manifest what they do want in their life. So the question is, so she asked, so if I'm using my intuitive ability and I have a client that comes into me and I can tell in their psyche that they're stressed out about their family, and I just acknowledge it, I say something like, I can totally feel that you're stressed out about your family. And I said, no, it's absolutely against our practice because that's a validation and confirmation and energizing what is the lie and limited belief. And rather, our job as spiritual practitioners is to hold that person as the divinity and the potential of what they truly desire. So our job is really just to do the inner work to help them release whatever trauma is going on, but to also hold the highest for that person. Why would we even recognize the lie or the limited belief when our job is to say, we're here, what do you want, and how do we get there? And that is really our job as practitioners, to hold in the demonstration of mind, to not even do the witch hunt of what the belief system is, but to actually get into processes. So this is why I'm so excited for this, because in New Thought Global, we are committed to getting results. That's what we're really committed to. So as a spiritual practitioner program, we're committed to getting results within the practitioner themselves. Always has to be that first, for them to live and breathe truth. So we need to break down what is truth and how do we get to that truth as practitioners. So we recognize that everything is created from the soul. There's one mind, there's only the I am, but individually we create with our own mind, our individual mind. So what it is first cause is always from spirit. It's the consideration. So you are such a powerful spiritual being that the moment you consider yourself to be anything other than the I am, you set the polarity and universal law into motion, which are the beliefs, what you be and what you live, okay? So the beliefs create the thoughts create the feelings create the emotions and circumstances of your life. And then that is really what we're looking at. So when somebody's working with a practitioner saying, I want to break through something, I want to have more money, I want to have a better relationship, I want to find my purpose and calling, so on and so forth. Our job as spiritual practitioners is to absolutely know the truth for that person, recognize that the only work that person has to do is to get out of their own way. They already have written in their soul and on their DNA what their life purpose is and their legacy. Our job is to help get their own consciousness out of the way, release the limited beliefs within the consciousness. and to really release any charge around past traumas, releasing all of that so that their truth is born. Their truth is born, they get clear of all their stuff, okay? So I'm super excited to this because what being a spiritual practitioner really is living truth, to being able to be somebody and be in the demonstration and to be able to know truth for anybody and help them, assist them in knowing truth and birthing their specific unique truth. So in our practitioner program, I'm so excited because what I love about the New Thought movement is that we call it open at the top. We want the evolution of the movement. It's not dogmatic like some religions. We have principles that we understand, like universal law. There's scientific aspects of this that you wouldn't be able to change how gravity works, right? But how you use gravity is unique. So that's what we do in the industry. We get to build upon the principles and create new foundations, new frameworks, new things to be able to take the work and be able to apply it and get results for people. So the first semester of the spiritual practitioner program is all about the spiritual coaching, because what happened was when I was in spiritual practitioner, it was a 3-year program. It was 360 hours, and we did foundations first, reading all the foundation books that are all in alignment, everything from Louise Hay's book to Biology of Belief to Science of Mind to all kinds of things. And then we went into the foundations of New Thought history and things, and then we began to get into the belief systems and being able to do affirmative prayer and be able to help people from just doing prayer. But what I found is that you couldn't claim the truth of making money off of that. You weren't a coach, you weren't a minister yet, you couldn't do any spiritual counseling. And this is not the truth. The truth is that we're teaching that anything and everything's possible. And I know the coaching industry, we don't have limitations on it. We're able to claim our birthright of prosperity. So in the spiritual practitioner program, I was like, no, we're going to become spiritual coaches, business coaches, and become spiritual practitioners. And I put it all into 1 year. So I am so excited because I'm sure there's so many amazing spiritual practitioner programs. And so I'm going to be a little bit biased towards mine because you will become a spiritual practitioner, a spiritual coach, and a business coach. And you get licensed through Emerson Theological because we partnered with them, and New Thought Global. So it's amazing. I'm so excited. So really the intention first is to become somebody that can facilitate and help people break through their limited beliefs. So the first semester is getting trained as a spiritual coach to be able to facilitate the E4 trauma method, truth triangle, and being able to really help people break through their limited beliefs to get huge quantum leaps for them. And the second semester is all about understanding limited beliefs and understanding the breaking down the perspective. So we go through everything, all the problems of life. We go through all the dynamics of life and being able to, as spiritual practitioners, understand truth, being able to see what limited beliefs are going on within our culture and so on. So we break down week 1 through this is relationships and love, health and vitality, money and career, addiction, depression and suicide, death and transitioning, dis-ease, loss, grief, crisis, loneliness, purpose and calling, mental illness, and parenting. We go through all the dynamics, right? Because when you have clients that come to you as a spiritual coach, because you're already going to be a spiritual coach in the first semester, you will want to understand and break down every single thing that's going on for people. What's going on with the world? What's the stats in these areas? How to relate truth? How do we break through the race consciousness, the collective consciousness? What's going on in the constructs of the matrix of beliefs, right? And then in semester 3, we get into the foundations of New Thought, which I love so much, going into the history of New Thought, the principles of science of mind and unity. And what I know is that this is a beautiful lineage. There's lineage that's come through even the Hermetic teachings. This is ancient wisdom. We call it New Thought movement because you get to create something new. You get to have something new in your choice and in your free will. But the truth is that the teachings themselves are ancient. We go off of metaphysics and universal law and all this part that is, you can't change it, right? Truth is truth. There's ultimate truth and there's relative truth. And we begin to learn and dive into all the great teachings of the New Thought movement. I particularly love science of mind. Unity is amazing, all the centers around. Understanding and referring to philosophy, science, and religion. And then the fourth semester, we basically are applying the principles. So we get into your daily spiritual practice. We get into how do you embody this work from the words that you speak, to the thoughts that you think, to visioning, to building your intuition. How do you live the principles, apply the principles? How do you apply them to every single day? How do you apply them to your business? How do you apply them to everything? So through this year-long program, through the 4 semesters, I'm sure some people will take a little longer. Some people will take a little, be able to go through a little fast at some things. We have all types of books that are part of the thing. It's 360 hours. You facilitate and do work back and forth on other practitioners and other spiritual coaches to embody the work, to get testimonials, to really break through. My commitment for the Spiritual Practitioner program is to deliver badass spiritual practitioners. That is my commitment. My commitment is to deliver to the world badass spiritual practitioners that deliver the most profound teaching and truth to the world exponentially, infinitely, through the galaxies. That's what I know for sure in my mind. So as we go into this day, I just know perfection of whatever. I'm so honored as I go in tomorrow into the first actual official class of Spiritual Practitioner in New Thought Global. I just say thank you, truth. Thank you for these teachings. Thank you for allowing me to every single day in every way live truth, to only know truth, to build that muscle so that I can have a life filled powerfully with joy, with love, with service, touching and inspiring millions upon millions and 1 billion people as our vision. I simply know the grace and the freedom that comes with living the embodiment of truth. Every single person I touch, every person I inspire, I just say yes to you. I say yes to knowing the truth for you. I know anywhere that you feel stuck or anything, any suffering, that it is a lie. The truth is you are divine, you are God, you are spirit. That is the truth of the essence. You are one with everything. And I know this in my mind and heart, and I say, let it be. Let it be. Okay, you guys, have a beautiful day. And may you live your truth. And if you are interested in the Spiritual Practitioner program, we actually are very full. We only have like a couple spots left, honestly. And that is not some sales pitch, okay? The truth is that we never marketed the Spiritual Practitioner program. And it was actually just people that were already in Soul Society, in the leadership program, and the spiritual, that they had a calling. And so if you do have a calling, whether we're able to take you or not, I honor your calling. You're welcome to apply. If we are full, you can get on the next time around, or we can refer you to somebody else, okay? Have a beautiful day, and may you live your truth. Thank you for tuning in to Soul Society and Dr. Aaron podcast. If you've had a calling to be a spiritual leader or coach, you can go to soulsociety.com and check out our free training. If you've received value here, I would love it if you take a moment and give a 5-star review. In exchange, I have a ton of free gifts for you. Grab your free Awakening book, 40 guided meditations, and digital manifesting masterclass. I also have a free money meditation and worksheet for you so you can begin to break through your scarcity mindset and claim your birthright of prosperity. You can get all of your gifts and learn about our upcoming transformational events in my bio link in both Instagram and Facebook. That's under draaron.tv, which is DRERIN.tv. Also, I'd love to invite you into our free private community on Facebook under groups called Soul Society. That is facebook.com/groups/Soul Society. That's SOULCIETE. Have a divine day, and may you live your truth.